but fill in nevertheless. Now this brown is close to the pocket, but it's by no means as simple as it looks. Oh, well done. Well done, Dave Gilbert. After that, the first frame should be his. Pretty much a formality now.
5, 6.
So this is the 10th frame he's won today. 10 times £100 equals £1,000.
11.
A profitable trip to Coventry.
12. 90. 20. 24. 25. 27. Dave Gilbert 27 from the first frame.
Mark Selby potted the opening red in the first frame and did nothing else. Dave Gilbert with a break of 59, then tidying up at the end there after a slice of fortune. And he leads by 1 frame to 0. Over on table 2, a really important contest this between two players who've probably played more matches in Championship League than anyone else. Joe Perry, the inaugural winner, and Ali Carter. It's their opening frame. Perry in first. Perry's played 3 matches, won only 1 of them. Carter, well, he's played 3 as well and has exactly the same record. The loser of that one could be in trouble. So as Selby prepares to break off in the second frame here, the big question is, can Gilbert's golden day continue?
Second frame, Mark Selby.
As I said before, he's earned £1,000 thus far in this group today. He used to work for his father, planting trees and picking potatoes. I'll tell you what, you have to work very hard to earn £1,000 doing that.
Well,
he's not picking potatoes today, he's picking off reds, knocking those in from distance with regularity.
Three. Four.
Played the stun run through there. Has he run through enough. Well, it's clearly tight, isn't it? Even from this angle, we're not quite sure. It looks to me as though he might not be able to pot that. We'll soon find out. No. Overcutted. I just get the impression there he was playing that with more hope than expectation. Don't think he could see quite enough to knock it in.
One.
Now what can Selby do? Because if he can win this match, suddenly with 2 wins out of 3, he's looking good for the playoffs tomorrow. I was very impressed with the way he played against Stephen Maguire in the Masters last week.
5.
A trio of century breaks was good stuff indeed. But then in the quarterfinals he wasn't so hot against Judd Trump.
6. That's it. 40.
This is the third group in which he's been involved, Mark Selby.
21.
Lost to Barry Hawkins 3-2 in the semi-finals
22.
of Group 3. He actually led 2-1 in that match, and then Hawkins had breaks of 86 and 59 to get the better of him. And then he lost in the final of Group 4, beaten 3-1 by Stuart Bingham.
No. 30.
A nicer bloke than Mark Selby you will not meet. Totally unaffected by fame and fortune. Just a genuinely good chap.
37. 38.
And let's not beat about the bush. One of the finest players of the modern era. An absolutely animalistic competitor.
46. 53. 54.
'Gilbert made a 59 break in the first frame. Selby has matched that.
60.
So 56 in front, 59 on the table. The black frame ball. Tried to go into the bunch with no success,
57.
to no avail. But I think, for all intents and purposes, the frame should be won.
Mark Selby 67.
Dave Gilbert needs one 4-point penalty snooker. 4 reds, 4 blacks, all the colours to force a respotted black. Because he's so shrewd tactically and because he never gives up, this is the kind of frame you fancy Mark Selby to win if he needs a snooker. Not fancy him, but you never discount his chances. But he doesn't lose money. Not many at all. That said, I don't blame Gilbert for carrying on. One snooker needed, why not? Strange things happen. Methinks the end might be nigh now, though. Selby 1 red away from definitely drawing level. Frustrating that, being so close to winning the frame and not quite able to apply the finishing touch.
Whoa.
But Gilbert simply has to pot the black. No ifs, buts or maybes. Not bad. Hope springs eternal.
Nice. $60. $70.
Now there it would have been nice to have the luxury of potting the pink off the penultimate red, but Gilbert couldn't afford to do that. Had he potted the pink, he would have needed 2 snookers. Still, it's only 1. 39 adrift, 35 on.
24.
Of course, played the cue ball in behind the black. Didn't get anywhere close to that. And now Selby has his second chance to wrap it up.
What?
This time, no doubt.
Five. So. So. 14. 19. 25. 32, the frame, marks up.
Well, Selby was slightly delayed in getting over the line there, but in the end, it was a pretty good frame from him. A break of 67 to leave Gilbert requiring a snooker, which he couldn't lay, and then Selby eventually clears up with 32. And so, the first couple of frames have been shared. Mark Selby 1, Dave Gilbert 1. Over on table number 2, a good start for Joe Perry. He's taken the opener against Ali Carter, but Carter's at the table on a colour in the second frame, already having established a 29-point lead. One of those contests, given their respective status in the game and given their performance over the years in the Championship League, which was so difficult to predict before they got underway. Didn't hit the pink the best there, although it went in. He wanted to hit the pink a lot thicker than that to hold the cue ball. And so it's end of break. This, of course, is Group 5. It reaches its conclusion with the semi-finals and final tomorrow evening. We've already got a star lineup through to the winners group. The 4 group winners thus far: Neil Robertson, Jack Lazowski, Stuart Bingham won Group 4, another big name and former world champion. And of course in Group 3 the winner was the flavour of the month, the newly crowned Masters champion, Judd Trump. Well, after a pot like that, you deserve position, but I'm afraid Selby couldn't avoid the obstructing red.
Mark Selby 1. Foul, unless
Now, Mark
Okay,
Selby
Gilbert
could have
foul.
hit
Yeah.
those reds quite easily. What he wants to do is come off a couple of cushions and flick off one of them and take the cue ball back into baulk. And he was so close to doing it.
Mark. Down.
Missed one red by an absolute whisker. The key is not to overcompensate. Well, he undercompensated. In
Miss.
fact, he was
Dave Gilbert 4.
farther away from the red there than he was originally.
Yeah. Something happy with it first, Mark. Yeah. Dave, you happy with that? Mark, if I have to call a miss as a result of this stroke, I'll award the frame to your opponent. Okay.
Now, of course, because Selby can see a red directly, as Rob Spencer has pointed out, if he were to miss the reds this time, the frame would be awarded against him. We saw that in the Masters with Ding Junhui against Luca Brissell in the quarterfinals. That kind of thing does happen occasionally. It made Selby change his shot choice. Had to be content with a more conservative, containing effort.
One.
Well, Gilbert sorted that one out, didn't he? Wow. Saw the plant in the middle of the pack. Had the self-belief to get down and thwack it in. And that served two purposes, not just potting the red, but also opening them.
Six.
I think from his reaction he thought he'd got a little bit of a violent bounce off the balk cushion there. Didn't expect the cue ball to react quite the way it did. Well, he caught the red totally incorrectly. Tried to get through the gap to pop one into the top left-hand pocket and made contact with an intervening ball. And given the damage he could have done, he's been really fortunate. Look at this. Nothing easy on it all for Selby. And particularly at this level, that kind of fortune makes such an immense difference. You have to bite your lip and just accept it and try and keep your opponent safe. Not the best safety though from Selby. Lots of distance between the cue ball and the balk cushion. And that is where Gilbert should have been. Tight against the cushion. Selby said well done as soon as he saw where that safety shot was going to finish.
Foul, miss. Dave Gilbert.
No contact made.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. No, I don't think you could. I'm just looking because I lined up, the blue was dead straight basically, but I lined up with it. Yeah. Dave? Yeah. Foul.
Well, this time a red was contacted, but it's a foul shot nevertheless. At least by doing that, there is now distance between cue ball and reds. We've seen a lot of fluent snooker on this table today. Now though, it's getting serious. The deeper you go into the group, the more the players realise what they need to do. And Selby is only too aware that a victory here would be invaluable. I think because he's won 3 out of 3, Gilbert is under somewhat less pressure. That's not to say he doesn't want to win, because if he does, he's mathematically certain of being in the semi-final playoffs. How on earth did he find the gap between blue and black there without making any kind of contact with either of those two colours? He held his hand in apology up to Selby. Excellent.
Foul. Miss.
Well, this time it's role reversal.
Mark Selby.
Gilbert missing the reds completely. He wasn't a million miles away there from putting himself in a snooker behind the green.
Back mark. Yeah. Not sure how close you were to the cushion, Dave. The line's right, yeah. You happy with that line? Yeah, you happy with that line? I thought you could have that red about half ball.
I think his margin is
That way, yeah. Yeah. Mark, yeah.
That's one thing that's really good for referees in snooker. They can rely on the integrity of the players. Oh, the little flick meant that Mark Selby can get through to the red over the pocket. Might have to make multiple collisions with other reds, but nevertheless it's on.
Well,
that was the issue, getting out of the traffic jam.
black ball. Max Selby won.
Uncompromising Selby. He's amassed a fortune playing snooker over the years. He's won all of the major titles the game has to offer, apart from the Championship League, actually. But he's got such professionalism and such desire to win. And you see the mood change as the match has gone on. He's now really into this. Talking about Selby's record in the Championship League, he came very close to winning it in each of its first 2 years. Lost in the final of the winners group, actually. 2008, lost 3-1 to Joe Perry. 2009, lost 3-2 to Judd Trump. Both of those events, of course, were at the Crondon Park Golf Club in Stock in Essex. Well, again, Gilbert has left a red, but it's a complex positional issue.
Well,
took the tougher red to supply the better chance of position, but he's not out of the woods yet. Well, it was a strange old cut, wasn't it, in the overcut, the blue. Really disjointed start to frame 3. Somewhat hampered by red and yellow, and it wasn't an easy pot anyway. But Dave Gilbert, who's been potting reds from distance all day and able to knock that one in.
One.
When you're involved in a frame like this with lots of tactics and safety play, it is quite easy for the attacking edge to be blunted, but that's one of Selby's great strengths. He can battle away until the cows come home, and then when he gets a chance, quite often he pounces.
6. Seven.
Like all great sporting champions, he's got the ability to forget what's gone before. He doesn't dwell on mistakes.
12.
Just gets on with it. In the moment, as they say.
30. Ninety. 20. 26.
With the angle on the pink, ideal to go into the two reds to break them up, but it's never easy to pop them across that top cushion.
26.
Never easy. I'm not surprised that one went astray. Not surprised in the slightest.
One.
Very nice. Tight frame this. Very much in the balance. Knew he needed to miss green and black. He didn't quite miss the black, but
6.
caught only a sliver of it. And so the cue ball went into approximately the area of the table he wanted.
Seven. Yeah, sure. 12.
The break goes to 12. That means Gilbert regains the lead in the frame, albeit by just a single point. And now he needs the extended rest. The pot he's taking on, even with his hand on the table, is exacting.
Dave Gilbert 12.
It's been a lengthy day for Gilbert. This is his 4th best of 5 frame match, all against quality opposition. Just needs to retain his concentration for 2 or possibly 3 more frames. Now I'm just wondering, can Gilbert see a sliver of the red that's over the pocket? Don't think he can, but we'll soon find out. If he can hit this thin, it might just about go. Is there room past the green? I believe there is. And maybe the green there provided a potting guide.
Dave Gilbert 1.
Always asking a lot to pot the pink. Asking even more to get any kind of reasonable position. Again, those kind of shots are so demanding. So in relatively small increments, Gilbert is building his total points in this frame. And now, perhaps, his best chance of the lot.
Cheers, Dave, thanks. 1. Seven. Eight.
The lead stretches to useful proportions. 10 points.
Good.
As the red was going down the table, it always looked as though it would collide into that right-hand jaw. Just marginally undercut the red. And so Selby still in this. Very much so.
One. Seven. Eight.
Positional no man's land. And that, as they say, is the next best thing. Good snooker. Would have preferred, of course, to have cleared up. But if you can't do it, accept the consequences. And with all of the colours in the open, this is a headache for Gilbert. Make no mistake about that. Well, what a shot that is. What an outcome. That was his get out of jail free card. And I think the yellow has gone far enough up the table to make it impossible for Selby to cut it in. Gilbert living dangerously. Well, I think this time the pink is blocking the path of the yellow to the pocket. It is indeed. Selby cannot force an opening, try as he might. And boy, is he trying. One of those frames twists and turns. And with the brown now going safe and the green close to the black, no immediate end in sight. Maybe just a little clumsy there from Dave Gilbert. There's enough of the yellow sticking out for Selby to be able to hit it directly. All kinds of stuff going on. These kind of frames don't crop up too often, but when they do, they're intriguing in their own right. You just never know what's going to happen next. No way. What a way to hit the yellow. What a way, and leave it safe as well.
Nah. Single flash.
Selby there trying to keep a straight face. He won't be smiling about that, though.
Dave Gilbert.
And forced error. In off. Gilbert leads by 11 points. That means, very significantly, he only needs yellow, green and brown. Doesn't have to think about position onto the blue off the brown, which will make the pot, should he get on the brown, a lot simpler. The one thing he didn't want to be there was too straight on the green. I think he might be. Can he force an angle?
Five.
Just about avoiding the brown. And now this should be a simple task. This is frame ball. Well, 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 would you believe that? I'm sure Selby can't. I think he's pleasantly surprised. The brown would have put Gilbert 20 in front with 18 on. Selby needs the lot and he can't see the brown directly, so he's going cushion first. Well, can't see it to pot it, that is.
4.
That made sense. 1 pot down, 3 to go.
Mark Selby 4.
Well, consolation, at least it's run safe. And Selby can't complain anyway, because really with Gilbert on the brown there, it looked as though he was out of the frame. So another opening for Gilbert to pot frame ball. Didn't threaten, did not threaten the pocket. Selby has made so many great escapes over the years in frames and matches. Is this going to be another?
Five.
Not as much pace in the cue ball as he wanted. And with the rest, the black down the rail to the ball pocket. Although it's quite close to the pocket, that could never be classified as simple. In fact, it's the opposite. And the whole match could swing on this.
Frame, Mark Selby.
What a competitor Mark Selby is. He can win frames with big breaks, he can win them by grinding it out, and he can win them from unlikely positions. Dave Gilbert had his chance to hit the front, but he missed frame ball brown, and after a real marathon, arguably the lengthiest frame of the entire day here at the Championship League, Mark Selby moves 2-1 ahead. Gilbert crestfallen, Selby quietly pleased. After a frame like that, so often you see the guy who won it get an early chance in the next frame, make a big break and win it. Well, if that's the case with Selby, he'll win the match. And if he does so with 2 wins out of 3 today, he'll be looking good for the playoffs. While both players are out of the arena, it gives me the chance to tell you what's happening tomorrow. Of course, play begins as normal at 11 AM local time. The first contest here on table 1 is Stephen Maguire against Mark Selby, a reenactment of their first round match at the Masters last week, in which Selby prevailed. Over on table 2, the first match, Anthony McGill against Barry Hawkins. So we play 21 regular group matches, and when they're complete we will know the 4 players who will go into the semi-final playoffs tomorrow evening, beginning at 6 o'clock local time. But there's also a consolation prize, because the player who finishes 5th in the group, although he won't make the playoffs, at least he'll have the opportunity to move forward and take part in Group 6 on Wednesday and Thursday here. By the way, if you're unfamiliar with the Ricoh Arena, it's a really vibrant place, holds conferences and concerts. It's the home, not in this particular room, but it's the home nevertheless of the Champion of Champions snooker event. It's hosting the Championship League for the 3rd year in succession, and it's also the home stadium of rugby's Wasps and football's Coventry City FC. Coventry City, known as the Sky Blues, right now, after losing a frame he should have won, Dave Gilbert is very blue. Well, had he dropped on a colour, that would have been the perfect tonic. Nowhere near, really. Nowhere near. I think he's shaken by what happened at the end of the 3rd frame. It's been a day of sustained success for Gilbert.
What?
But missing the brown on the verge of leading 2-1 will irk him. No doubt about it. Well, how about that? Selby attempting to go into the pack.
4.
Didn't make contact with any red whatsoever.
Mark Selby 4. Foul, miss. Dave Gilbert 4, yeah.
Cue ball replaced. Take two.
Mark? Yeah, Dave?
Gilbert quite rightly had the cue ball replaced, more out of hope than expectation. Must have envisaged that Selby would make the necessary tweak. Well, the red has run a little too far back down the table. It's on to the middle. These blind cutbacks, never easy.
What?
Thought for a moment he caught the red a little too thick there. He's actually quite fortunate because he grazed the brown, made a minimal contact with that, and yet he's still on the yellow.
Three. Four.
Nicely cued. Can Selby turn a quarter of a chance into a full-blown match-winning opportunity? After that, you have to think maybe.
Nine.
Stunning the cube, also having to dig down into the white.
10.
Always the danger there of imparting a touch of unwanted side, which would cause the red to go astray, but Selby cued it arrow straight. But the split, well, it didn't cooperate.
17.
Plenty of fizz on the white. Theoretically, the red closest to the cue ball will pot. But it's so difficult to reach, so difficult to judge, and so risky. I think it's off the table. Has to be.
Extended spider. What
Well,
do
Selby
you mean
asking
this- you mean
for
this
the
one?
extended
Oh,
spider.
yeah.
extension on the back of the cue as well. With these, you always tend to hit them thick. Not Selby though. What a touch. What a touch. And getting the cue ball to a degree away from the cushion as well. It's not an ideal positional shot, but that was very nicely played. Very nicely played indeed.
80. Mark Selby, 80.
But then the trickled black goes astray, overcuts it. Just when Gilbert was beginning to fear the worst, he's back at the table.
One.
Can Gilbert force a decider?
No. $60. $17.
Level board, 22 points each. Now, though, very much advantage to the man at the table. That was a more amenable split than the one that
20.
Selby had.
$25. $31. $32. $39. $40.
More and more promising with every pot. No obvious obstacle. Oh, as soon as he made contact there with the black, he knew he'd screwed it back too much. The red is still on, but this is a tester. Actually looking at the plant, it's not set on, it's going towards the near jaw. Needs to be made. And if there were a red or two and a couple of colours safe, I think Gilbert would feel less vulnerable than he does. He He knows one mistake here could be curtains in terms of the match. Needs the conventional spider as well. Oh, the plant negotiated to perfection. Needs a kiss or the cue ball to slow up.
48.
Well, I don't think it's any good. He's always got the snooker, of course, up his sleeve. Now, what would Selby do here? Would he take an unnecessary risk? I don't believe so.
Gilbert.
Gilbert's done exactly the right
48.
thing. His break of 48 comes to an end. He's 31 ahead, 43 on, and Selby in trouble. Now, could this be a free ball? Rob Spencer going around the table into position.
Dave Gilbert, full free ball.
It is. A full house. Foul miss. And a free ball. So from here, Gilbert's already 35 points to the good. Hard to imagine he won't tie the scores.
One.
So the blue and one more red required.
Six. Seven.
After the disappointment of losing the previous frame when he missed frame ball brown, he's done pretty well here, Gilbert. An earlier break of 48, the cornerstone of his success. Then he had the presence of mind not to push out the boat. Played a snooker and
20.
This is the dividend.
22. $25. 29. 34. 40. Frame. Don't go.
Assisted by breaks of 48 and 40, Dave Gilbert takes this contest all the way to the wire. It is 2 frames each. Well, Mark Selby's not been involved in a decider so far in this group. Dave Gilbert has, in his first match actually, against Joe Perry. He won it 3-2, and he would love to replicate what happened in the all-important 5th frame there. That was this morning over on table 2, and Gilbert won the match 3-2 thanks to a century in the decider. It's an important frame, this, for both players, for different reasons. If Selby were to win it, 2 wins out of 3, that would be an acceptable start to the group. If Dave Gilbert were to win it, with 4 wins out of 4, he would top the table healthily overnight, and what's more, be guaranteed, regardless of what he does in his last 2 group matches, he would be guaranteed a place in the semi-finals tomorrow evening.
Deciding frame. Dave Gilbert's away.
Here we go then. Frame 5.
One.
Well, that was really good cueing. In goes the red, but of course no position with it. There was never any intention of that.
Rambo. Black Selby 1.
Over the years, Selby has got an absolutely fantastic record in deciders, particularly on the big occasion.
One.
Ooh, but you can't legislate for that. And what's more, the cue ball is out of bulk for either yellow or green. I think it's going to be yellow. 2-ball plant behind the pink.
Three. Four.
If a few shots down the line, Gilbert could remove the red closest to the black, this would be a really promising chance.
Ten. Eleven. Seventeen. 18. Thanks, Dave.
He's already beaten today 3 either current or former members of the elite world's top 16. And now he's looking to overcome the world number 1.
20. 25.
After this, a couple more open reds. And then development work must begin.
Thirty. $32.
Right side of the blue, just about. Now this is the most crucial shot of the break so far. By screwing back, he will go into the bunch, open them up.
38.
I think he wanted the pink to be more available than it is. Don't think he imagined it would travel so far down table. But a thin cut on the pink, and I think he would avoid the brown. Yep. But he didn't avoid the green. Now is the pink going to be respotted? Is there room? Rob Spencer seems to think there is.
44.
And that cuts off the one pot that Gilbert had. So this break is going to end here. It's not of frame-winning proportions, but 44 at the start of a decider is always useful.
Dave Gilbert, 44.
Well, as has been the case so often in his career, and he's come through, Selby's back is against the wall. Well, he just avoided contact with not one but two reds, but he didn't avoid the blue. Full ball contact with that, and now Gilbert has his second chance to put this match away.
One.
The only difficulty for him as he plays a pretty good deep screw shot is that right now 4 of the 6 colours are out of commission. Pink and black tied up, green and brown on side cushions. So for the foreseeable future, it's yellow and blue. Looking hard at the shot, you would love to have a smidgen of angle. Anything but dead straight. And that's a positional halfway house.
6.
I think he might have just slightly dug into the cue ball a little too much there. That's why he didn't get on the red to the left of the pink as we're looking.
Dave Gilbert 6.
And so what was now a problem for Gilbert at the table becomes a help, i.e. the awkward position of 4 of the 6 colours. That makes Selby's chances of getting back into the frame diminish. This time, the pink opens up.
What? Cheers, Dave.
Didn't strike that into the centre of the pocket. Caught it just a little too thick, and that's why the cue ball hasn't travelled as far as he wanted it to. Never easy getting over the line. But after that, victory is very close indeed.
6.
So Gilbert's lead is 55, 67 on the table. A red and a pink would be very welcome. Red and blue, equally. If he can manage that, Selby would need snookers.
Seven.
I'm loath to say free ball because of Selby's extraordinary fighting qualities. Or frame ball, I should say. Loath to say that. But Gilbert now 62 in front, 59 on. Ah, well, regardless of his fighting qualities, Selby, he's not going to come back from here. What a day it's been for Dave Gilbert. Got the late call-up to replace Belgium's Luca Bressel in the group. And boy, has he made the most of it.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers. Cheers.
Selby concedes. For Dave Gilbert, it's been a dream day 4 matches played, 4 tough opponents, beaten.